WarsawJS.
Hello everyone, today I want to share my experience with Advent of Code. So I called it Advent of Code Sneak Peek, as we've seen, and I need to confess that it was my first time I was trying this such popular competition in development world, but it wasn't first time I was hearing about it already. I've heard about Advent of Code, especially in around 2022. Didn't have enough motivation to start it back then, but I've heard that especially ChatGPT was able to solve some of the tickets back then. So that was around the premiere of this chat device, and I guess that was also the reason in this year's, actually 2023 year's FAQ at the web page, they put it explicitly that you shouldn't use these AI tools to get into leaderboard. And what is this leaderboard about? This is actually the global competition. The faster you are developing the solution for the tasks this day, the higher you are in the leaderboard. So this leaderboard is something very catchy. And as I said, I was trying this first time. I was just getting into the rules. This leaderboard was one thing, but I quickly realized that there is no chance I will be there, because each task is premiering at 6 a.m. each day, our time here in Warsaw. So I was like, okay, I won't be there, but okay, let's keep it calm. We, at Paramount, because I work here, 3 floors above, organized the internal competition. You know, we had our own leaderboard, so I was okay, that's fine. But then it appeared it's not as easy to get into this local leaderboard either. And this is the evidence. We also had our internal Slack. It was 9:42, and I was already frustrated that so many folks were already having their points for the particular day back then. Yeah, we are at Paramount office, so we can make laugh at Netflix. So this is how I imagine Netflix adapting this meme man. And here, as I said, this was first time I was trying. I was like, okay, let's keep it calm. I will start after hours. It was like 12 hours after this 6 a.m., so around 7 my time, p.m. And as you can see, because of that, I ended up at this day, from all the people around, all the developers, at 100,000 plays. So not super efficient, I would say. And then I realized I need to do better. And what was also interesting back then was that for the second task, each day you were having one task to solve. You were doing it in a hacky way or not hacky way. Then there was a second part, which was modifying the things you need to do from the first time, for the first task, and usually it was like you need to totally rewrite your solution because it was not efficient. But it was like 90 minutes after I finished part 1, and still it was enough to get a better rank than for the part 1, which leads to the conclusion that some folks are starting but then skipping, you know. So I realized that might be my chance. I might not be the sharpest pencil in the pencil case. I might not wake up at 6 a.m., but I'm pretty durable in such things. I can do this all day, as classics say. So I decided that that will be my hidden superpower, that I will just keep rolling. And this is what I want to share with you, how it ended. So for other days, I was still not the fastest, but sometimes I tried. At least here was somewhere here was my record. Before even starting work, I was able to finish first task, but then maybe not as efficient with the second part. Anyway, I was trying, I was doing, not perfect. As you can see, thousands of developers were before me in delivering the tickets. And let's start. What were the tasks day by day? What were the challenges? What were the things I learned from there? First, I started. It was like in browser page, you start, you get some data, like huge input, numbers, characters, and so on. So I was like, okay, let's open browser console and solve it. And it appeared to work for the first day. For the second day, it was also okay. I was able to solve in the browser using some regex. Usually when you use regex to solve something, to address some issue, you are having 2 issues now because of regex. But here it worked. I was fine with that. Third day was actually first time I needed graph problem-solving skills. And yeah, this advent of code is very algorithmic. That's what you can expect for sure starting it. So yeah, but that was pretty hard. I started using my IDE to solve the tickets. This was third day from 25, you know. So in the fourth day, I was actually, yeah, it was too hard to solve just in a hacky way in the browser. I started using test-driven development just to, you know, start writing some assumptions. And usually, it might lead you to different directions, to strange ways, but it worked for me. I was very surprised, to be honest, that it worked even for the first time. Then I realized on the Twitter that Uncle Bob Martin was encouraging this test-driven development approach from the day one. So I lost like 3 days, and I got into the same conclusion. Actually, for that fourth day, I spent more time configuring my development environment for running tests. I was looking for very minimal setup to start just JavaScript, using ordinary import statements, and just run them in Jest. It's good we have the third talk about setting your environment up. Maybe I will learn. But finally, I got to this setup, and it worked. It was just Jest as the dependency. My tests were running. I could run them from the command line. I couldn't run them from the IntelliJ, but yeah, it was good enough for me. And there is another open question. What this test-driven development, apart from safety, let's say, apart from like probing your solution, if this test-driven development really leads to good design of your software, because it's like driven by tests, is this good design or not? This is very good talk in this topic. I recommend you to check. But in my case, I would say it was pretty nice, because I ended up solving this solution to test it nicely. I ended up writing my own some sort of iterator, and I was just checking next if I still have next. And I would say the design of this solution, thanks to test for day 4, was pretty good. I was happy with that, at least. For day 5, here is where problem began. I started using map to solve some problems, and I got into out-of-memory errors because data was so big. Then I tried to brute force the solution, as you normally do, you know. It took 18 minutes, but I got the response, quickly sent them on the web page, and then started working on optimizations. Here is the evidence I actually surrendered. So my browser history, day 5, solutions. I finally found the web page, which is about people from Advent of Code community sharing. And that was also a punch in my face, right in front of, you know, I was struggling, I was suffering, how to solve it. And then, hey, here's my solution in Google Sheets. I was like, whoa. Then, go for it, language J. What is J? Since APL solutions are missing today, I have decided to add my one. So I was like, what is APL? I started to learn. APL is like array programming language, or actually it was called a programming language. But yeah, it's about array being a base structure, and this actually works. This solves the ticket. Yeah, there is J, as in JavaScript we have jQuery. So if we have J, we should have probably something else. And there was also language called JQ. I thought it's jQuery. It wasn't. It's yet another APL. Then something like that. I would say I know some of these letters. And then Google Sheets, how about MongoDB? Well, let's go, why not? And then, it's actually from a different day. No, this is from day 5 actually. This is the solution. It's two-dimensional. Not only you have strange things, but also that. So, code reviewing this, I would write probably something as here. Just why? And I think I know why, because this is actually from the other day, language called Uyuya. People were happy. But, you see this? I found your solution very insightful. I was like, what?
Reddit moment.
Reddit model, yeah, indeed. But, yeah, here he was just trolling some folks, so that was his motivation for using such language. But, yeah, the conversation goes on. It was actually some sort of smart solution he came up with. Oh, this is linked to the source, so images in the presentation are the source powered. And my stats, non-official, non-baked by numbers, just my observation. Top languages used for solving advent of code tasks in this Reddit posts were Python, Rust, and C#. JS, Kotlin, and Java at the same place, I would say. Most popular was Python, Rust was the second. In my eyes, like quickly skimming through this. Rust is known for us from Rafał Pocztarski, great community member of WarsawJS community. He was advertising Dino. Dino is written in Just, but he was also advertising Zik programming language. And Ban runtime environment is also powered by this by this Zik programming language. And I know this from the name, but forgot about this, and found in a couple of posts that Zik is used. And I was like, why? Why? What is this? And I found this talk from Rafał Pocztarski, and it became clear to me. There was also D language, pretty visible, those APL programming languages. If you are hipster enough, you can also use Vim keystrokes to solve some of the tickets. That was cool. Yeah, but actually, coming back to this day 5, how I solved it in the end, instead of running solution for 18 minutes, this is how algorithmic tasks can broaden your horizons. So you actually here, it was good to use the same technique you use for solving maze puzzles. You start from the solution actually and go for the starting point. Yeah. So starting from because the day 5 task was about finding the shortest way or something which is available in the input. Instead of running for all the input parameters one by one and seeing where they are ending up, you started from 1, then from 2, the very minimal result you could have, because the solution was to get the least possible result, and then finally from backward traversing to the starting point, you found in milliseconds time the answer. For day 8, this is also how those puzzles are done. So advent of code is about something is broken on Christmas. You need to solve Christmas by writing code. And it was, this year, snow was missing. And snow was missing because water was missing, because sand was missing, because lava was missing, and so on and so forth. So each day you had another layer in that. And it's usually, as I said, first time you start day, there is one problem, then this problem evolves in the form that your solution is not valid anymore, usually. So here, for day 8, the problem and the introduction of this problem was like that. So she said that there are ghosts, and she vanished. So yeah, this is supposed to explain why she vanished, yeah? She told you about ghosts, so she is a ghost herself, right? The solution was that you get a map, and in this map you were having left and right nodes for each node, and in the first task you were supposed to go from AAA node to ZZZ node in the steps. And then it got complicated that, if you were Ghost, you would probably just start as every node that ends with A, not with AAA, but every node at parallel. Sure, because that's what ghosts do. Everyone knows that. So here you actually needed to traverse a lot through all the loops, but you also needed to come up with some smart way of parallelizing this and finding the exact moment all the starting points are ending in the Z point. So here I also used test-driven. Since day 4 I was using it. So those were the instructions. You need to go right first, then left, and then it was looping, like right, left, and so on. And in JavaScript, you can easily achieve this with generators. I was actually using those because you have endless loop, and you can iterate up until you get the proper solution. So I was using these generators. If you don't know this syntax, here it is for you. That was helping here. And apart from that, you needed to remind yourself. I actually came up with this idea myself without Reddit to use least common multiple. But in order to calculate least common multiple, you need to use the greatest common divisor. So I needed to Google a lot. By Google, I mean using DuckDuckGo, obviously. And then day 10, that was another graph problem. And to give you some taste how those problems are formulated, so those was a slight part of the input, and you needed to translate it in your brain to something like that. So what I found interesting here, because first time you needed to find a way, but then it appeared you don't need to find a way, but you need to find trapped points. And that was tricky definition of what it is for point to be tracked. And in order to solve it efficiently, you actually needed to resize the graph. And the idea was that for each, for instance, J letter, I was multiplying it, let's say, by 3. So same form as we had, but thanks to that, you were able to solve the task, which was about finding some animals squeezing between pipes. And when I make this graph bigger, this squeezing between pipes was easy to find with fluid fill algorithm. So that was interesting. And here's my solution, actually. And I can show you. Here, I came up in very limited number of tickets. I came up with visualization. Here, I actually did some visualization. So this was the input. From here, it was in my IDE colored like I shown. And here, I can actually, I think I can actually even execute this code for you to ensure it works. It visualizes in a simplified form. And here we can visualize this scaling into triple the size. Live coding during the presentation. Keep fingers crossed. So here, how the same pattern from above looks after resizing. And here you can find how many points I trapped. So we see this one, those couple of other points. And the solution can be calculated by switching to enclosed points method and using console log, most reliable way. So it can count it to 10. I think that was the solution, but this is demo input. For the actual input, you had like pages of some sort of characters. Here, to solve this, I actually used graph, and here is how you can write graph structure in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have maps and sets since some time, but the tricky part is those are comparing elements with references. Yeah, so you need to, for instance, stringify elements in order to put them in map and then to read them. Because if you put object as a key and read the new instance of the same object, you will get lost. So you need this graph. You need a method for matching the actual point object, let's say, to some sort of its stringify form. And yeah, you create graph by splitting the input. Each line should be parsed. Here is the place I'm setting the point. So I actually in the map use the stringified point and point to its value. And you also need to come up with the adjacency, which is about what are the neighbors of this point. And I'm preparing a set, and then I'm connecting neighbors in the way for this particular graph they should be connected. So here's the algorithm. The full version is on my GitHub. You have some parts of these potential neighbors, of this from points to point. So I think there is a room to improve. I improved, I guess, in the day 23, where you had some more encapsulation and some methods hidden at the point itself. Let me speed up. For day 11, I needed to use priority queue. So any guesses for what should it be used, connected also with graphs. That was actually the Dijkstra algorithm for path finding. And here is the comparison between Dijkstra and breadth first search. For the first day, you could use BFS. For the second task of this day, you needed actually a Dijkstra algorithm. So that was also refreshing. And the 11th day was also the breakthrough moment for me, because I finally, here we had Jenkins integration with our leaderboard for posting regularly on Slack. I actually got into top 5 for the first time. Day 12, I finally started using console timers instead of counting time of my own, so recommended highly. Here, day 13 was problematic because you needed to understand the sentences you were reading, and it was hard in that particular case. But what I learned is how to transpose the array in array. And what transpose mean here, we see that we have ABC now as a column, and we can transpose it back to. So that was pretty nice. I got till as you say. Yeah. So today I learned. And on day 13, maybe that was accident, or maybe I was skipping this hammer, so everything looked as a nail to me, but I was also using the same method I learned the day before. And here the trick I used was a stack of results in the array, so array of stacks actually. For the 15th day, it was easy because maps in JavaScript are preserving the order of elements, so that was an important factor here. For day 16, the first task was hard. So I said, okay, I need to improve it before moving to part 2, because probably it won't be efficient. So I started this dynamic programming, which is about recursion with caching. But it appeared it was premature optimization, because I could just run my first solution and it worked for the second as well. For 17 days, number 17, it was also easy. For 18, I just learned a lot about this from this Reddit and from Wikipedia. For day 19, it was also nice to use JavaScript, because I could actually eval some parts, because it was about kind of translating something into code. So in JavaScript, I did it by evaluating the expression. But crisis started there. I got sick in that day. So till the end of the official competition, our Paramount competition was kind of extended. So I was okay. But till the end, I just didn't do any progress. I had still a couple of days, but you know, Christmas time and so on, hard to follow. But I said to myself, after getting rest, after getting better, I need to come back. I need to finish what I started. So in day 20, I wrote solution inspired by how Redux works. The second part was hard. I got from YouTube, linked on this Reddit. Day 21 was actually misleading, but yeah, here is how some folks, it's not mine, I'm not as good. Some folks during the shower decided to visualize, and out of nowhere, when you analyze the input, you came up with some patterns which allows you to solve the ticket. So I didn't like, because you need a lot of input analysis in order to write efficient solution. Otherwise, you couldn't write an efficient one. For day 22, this is actually visualization someone else is doing. So this is 3D model of falling bricks, and someone wrote it in JavaScript, obviously, in browser, you know. So I was struggling with solutions. Sometimes I did some small visualization in console. In the meantime, people were doing like 3D model of inputs. Then for day 23, you needed to find the longest, indeed, longest path in the graph. I skipped the second part because I had enough of graphs already. For day 24, it was about writing some math equation, but for the second part of it, it was so hard that I mean, there was one person who was arguing that he solved this algebraically alone by doing fancy math. I couldn't do this, and otherwise I couldn't solve it without plugging additional library, and I just learned there is a library, but my assumption was to not use any library, so I skipped this as well. And for day 25, this is the algorithm I used, and there was no second star for me, because in the previous days I didn't have those 2 stars neither. So here is how I ended. So as you can see, this is also interesting observation. I was doing it it was like 15th of January, and it was 13,000 rank, 10 times less folks, let's say, ended than finished, than started. Yeah, that's it. when it comes to overview. Congratulations to all who participated. That was pretty entertaining for me, but exhausting as well, so I'm not sure if I will start the next year one. Here is the link to the slides. Here is the link to my GitHub repository with all the solutions. Here is my list to newsletter in Polish, so if you like, you can also join me. Each month I'm sending the one email with materials I learned, and that's it. This is the source to the image. So thank you for your attention.
Almost on time. Well, folks, every now and then, I get completely lost in a presentation. What I'm hoping is that your questions will help to clarify this concept for me. And please remember that the question which our speaker decides is the most, let's say, thought-provoking and intelligent will also win a free ticket to this year's Confront.js. Does anyone have a question? Dvudbek will bring you the microphone. 1 second.
Okay.
Is this one working? Which one, folks? Oh, this is it. Okay, here you go. There you go.
So first of all, congratulations, because as a fellow participant of last December's AOC, I realize how much time goes into it. Good job. Which of the problems that you solved were the most rewarding? Like, I can't remember most of the ones I solved, but there were a couple of the ones that were most challenging for me, and this one was the most memorable as well. So which one was the most memorable for you?
As I said, this day with less common multiple, which I came up to solve, which was actually day 8, sorry, I was saying. So that here it comes. That was nice because I came up. I reminded myself something from the high school. Barry, if you didn't follow, here is the explanation. So ghosts are doing that way, and that you can know. So that was nice. This day 8. And the other day I liked was this 23rd day, which I referenced in this here link. Let me quickly open it. Link is here. I like the solution I came up with at the code level. Yeah. So that was graph problem, but I encapsulated some methods at the point better than graph here I show.
Anyone else? Question? Right here in the front, please.
Would you recommend Advent of Code based on your personal experience for like junior programmer or even from early regular programmer as a way to improve your skills, or would you rather suggest doing some projects on yourself and building your portfolio? Because I mean it depends on person, but what's your thoughts? Your specifically.
That's a nice question. So, reward candidate, I would say. I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. Too many algorithms, and as I said, algorithms are already pretty well understood by all those machine learning models and stuff. So I would rather focus on my personal projects to get to know like full stack, how to develop solution, how to host it, how to actually provide it to the end user. Algorithms are, I would say, nowadays, first of all, I use them very rarely. So usually you use them before during the recruitment, the algorithmic related questions. It's good to know the way how you calculate, the complexity of the code piece, but you don't need as much as deep understanding of graphs, for instance. This is way I work and the projects I work on. I haven't implemented graph in my production code anywhere, so I would rather say it's not as urgent, and I'm having like 10-year career for now so far. Maybe this is my specific like path I had, lucky, but I would say first your own project. This is like an extra step. You can try those tasks from like first task each day. Yeah, you can try that. This is for like broadening your horizons, but I would rather recommend personally. That's my opinion. As you said, what's your opinion? That's my opinion to focus rather on the projects.
We have time for one more question in this category. Do we have a third? Oh, there's a person way in the back over there. Let's try to mix it up a little. Here we go.
Okay.
Let's try to remember that we have an online audience, so try to separate your words and speak as clearly as possible. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, thanks for presentation. It was really great. What do you think, which one is more important, to have ability to solve algorithms, like lead coding, advent of code, or to have a nice experience, like knowing nice hyped languages, programming languages, or frameworks, modern tools? Which one is more important? But I guess you have to choose only one. Like, let's say you are conducting interview. Yeah, you have two candidates. The first one is really a great geek guy, has great experience and knows how to use modern tools, frameworks, languages, but he sucks at live coding, algorithms. But the second one is really good at live coding, knows how to crack codings like patterns, everything, but does not have that much experience. But which one is more important for you?
You know, for such a candidate, hypothetical, there are also many other factors, so I'm not able to commit to one or another, because you also need to look at soft skills, you also need to look at general way of thinking, maybe some market like related background and so on. So it's hard to say. As I said, many companies are still using these algorithms. It's always good to know what happens under the hood, but maybe it's just enough to understand how maps work, and the way that the tree map is actually using the tree data structure is not as crucial, you know. So you need some basis from algorithms, that's for sure. But what I already said before, I would really recommend to understand maybe not the newest trends, not the switching from one programming language to another, but the full stack, the full flow of the app, how to start developing it, how to put it somewhere on the server you can send a link to anyone, and he or she can actually use this app then, and you can see some metrics from how the person used your app, and that's the crucial thing, I would say, for the software developer.
And now, am I on? Are we on the air? Can you hear me? You can, of course. I'm wondering if the microphone is working. Okay. Here's the moment of truth. As we stated earlier, the speaker will decide which of those questions was the best question. I'm also going to request that the speaker tell us why the best question was the best question. And so, my question for you, sir, Mateusz, is which of those three questions was the best and why?
Each one was good. Thank you for all the questions. There were also other questions, so feel free to catch me later. But the second and third were cool, and actually the third was similar to the second, so I would rather start with second as the best one. And
Is that your decision?
I would toss the coin, to be honest, but
We
my,
need,
my wallet is somewhere
you're
else.
the coin. You are the coin, sir.
Yeah, so let's put...
Ah, so we're tossing between the second and the third.
second and third.
Hold on. Heads is
This is head?
heads
This
is number 2.
3 and 2.
Okay. Tails is 2 and heads is 3. Tails. Question number 2. Is that you?
Yes.
Congratulations. That was very diplomatic, by the way. Thank you so much. Was that a great talk or what? Did you understand? I had a lot of difficulty following you because I'm not a programmer. So for me, I was in the woods the entire time. After the third day, I was soup. All right, folks. Thank you very much. Please welcome and thank Mateusz one more time for his presentation.